Hey guys, well, as you can see here, I have a whole bunch of tarantulas on my desk. I believe it's 15 in total, well, 14, and then the flat rock scorpion. Reason being is I was feeding my tarantulas the other night. Well, actually, I wasn't feeding. I was going through my mealworm bin, and I was taking all my pupa and beetles, and I shift them around, because they're at different stages in their life. And I noticed that I got grain mites, and I know why I got them. It wasn't because it was dirty, because I clean them quite often. But what happened was I didn't have any carrots, nor did I have any potatoes. Generally, that's what I'll feed them. I did have some cucumber, so what I did is I put some cucumber in there, a pretty big hunk. Okay, so what happened is the cucumber is very moist. I guess it got really soggy, wet, and with when you're doing mealworms or superworms of any type like that, your colony, you can't let it the grain, whatever you're feeding, whether it's oatmeal or bran meal or whatever it is the other one is, you can't let it get wet, because if you do, that's when you end up with grain mites. So what I did, I tossed my whole enclosure, not enclosure, but my container, my breeder bin, which really sucks because I had thousands of mealworms, and the beetles were at the end of their cycle, but I was starting out again, pulling some up, and I must have pulled out 500 or 600 beetles, and they were up in the top shelf, or the top part of the container. The container was one like that there. I just keep odds and ends in little tools, but I had the other one over here on the bottom. But what I noticed, I turfed it. I threw it outside because it's, I'm in Canada, and it's been quite cool here. I think it was -7 to -9. So what I did, I put all the worms outside. Unfortunately, I had to destroy my colony. I did a little bit of research online. Some people say you can wash the worms off or the beetles off, but you know what? I thought, that many, it would have been impossible. So unfortunately, I have to start over with my mealworms. And also, I kept them here, and I noticed, I guess it was a little while later, like a couple hours later, on my black post here of my shelf, I seen them crawling on there. So I kind of got freaked out. I thought, oh no. I did notice a few in some of my enclosures just around the water dish. They like the moisture, so that's where they tend to go. So what I had to do is I had to break this whole thing down. Okay, and even my wood on top, anything that was in this vicinity went outside. 2 days, 48 hours. I had it in the backyard, and it was cold enough to freeze them, and that's how you get rid of them. I mean, if you just have one tarantula or a couple enclosures, you can put them in your freezer for 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, and it will kill any of the grain mites. Also, it will kill the eggs if they've laid any eggs. So this was a really painstaking process, because I had to get every tarantula out of their enclosures, and that wasn't fun up there because I had my P. regalis in there, and also my H-Mac Togo Starburst, and also my big Somopolus cambridgei female #1 up there. So anyways, I just brought everything back in today. Like I said, it was out for 48 hours, and this is pretty much thawed out. I'm going to give it a little more time. My room in here is fairly warm. I keep it between 75 and 76, maybe 78 degrees, depending on what lights are on in here. But it is quite warm in here, so it's thawed out. And this morning, it wasn't, when I brought this stuff in, it wasn't that cold outside. It was about maybe +1 or +2. So, but hopefully I got them all, guys. You can wash your enclosures, turf everything, but I even bleached this not enclosure, this big stand here, wiped it all down, sprayed it down with bleach. I didn't do it in the room. I took it out and did it. And I did quarantine all my tarantulas that were on that shelf for 2 days. They were out of this room just in case there were any on the tarantulas. Now, these grain mites are not a parasitic mite. They feed on grain. They do not feed off of your tarantula like some other parasitic mites might, but you know, they will latch onto your tarantula if it's dry. They use it as a, I guess, wouldn't say a host, but they will hook onto something to get from A to B, and then if they find a moist area, they will dislodge from your tarantula, and they will hang out in the moist area. Okay, so there's no worries about my tarantulas getting infested with them as far as parasitic mites, but at the same time, you have to get rid of them because they will, you know, infest your room still, or wherever you're keeping them, and then they reproduce, and then that's not cool. So anyways, as I said, everybody is out. Everybody's just about ready to go back in. I didn't want to do a video as far as, you know, me getting all these out because it was a lot of work. You know, I got 4 OBTs here. There's Psalmopoeus cambridgei. That's my Theraphosa apophysis. Togo starburst. This is my P. regalis. He's growing, or she's growing quite nicely. But they've been in here for 2 days, so now it's time for me to get them out. There's my crazy trapdoor. Get them out and get them back into their enclosures. So I just wanted to do a short video. Well, it's not so short. We're going into 7 minutes now. On this. Guys, if you do have mealworms, superworms, I don't really recommend them. You keep them in your room, and I've kind of learned that because, you know, if this had happened outside of this room, they wouldn't have got into my enclosures. So I'm gonna do my superworms and my mealworms maybe in another part of the house. So anyways, guys, hopefully this helped you guys out to know how to eradicate mites or grain mites. And as I've said before, I used to be big into reptiles, and I mean, you get them periodically. They can come in with another animal, and reptiles are fairly, well, not easy, but I mean, you can get sprays, you can get even the old Vapona strips. You can put them in your room or outside the enclosures of your reptiles, and just the vapor of that will kill any mite or any insect for that matter. Okay, but with arachnids, we can't do that because you know, it's going to kill your arachnid. So I mean, if it's a pesticide of any type, it's going to kill your arachnids. Where it may not affect reptiles, it will affect these guys. So this is my first experience with an outbreak like that, and it was a lot, guys. You know, it was because I stirred it up. When I was moving my beetles, they just started, I guess, migrating or running. I don't no idea, but I didn't see it, and it wasn't until I, you know, came back, and then I seen them crawling on the top of my bin, and then I was like, oh my gosh! So I got them out right away, and then I guess it was a few hours later, I seen them crawling up here, very tiny, white. They almost look like a little grain of salt, maybe, not even that big, but I seen them little dots, sort of kind of everywhere. And the nice thing about this, I didn't see any on my floor. I bleached everything around here, cleaned it really well, but they were sort of, well, from what I believe, they were contained to this shelf, because look at the floor, just four little spots where they could have got down, and I found they went up. I didn't ever see one walking down for some reason. If they were moving, they were going up. So maybe it was because it was warmer up there. Maybe it's because I don't know, water dishes were up there. They sensed the moisture, but I didn't see any on the ground, nor did I see any down on the bottom of the shelf. So, anyways, guys, there's a video on grain mites, what to do if you do get them. What not to do is do not put your enclosure in the freezer or outside in the cold with your tarantulas in them, because you know what's going to happen there. They're going to die. They're going to freeze to death. But anyways, there's non-new Colorado villosus, my trapdoor, there's Taco, there's my Acanthoscura geniculata, Amphibidius macala, another OBT,